Howdy, gang, and happy holidays. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to share a first look at Adventurous from Dawnfist Games. This fantasy role-playing game is written by Sebastian Grabne. Hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. And this 186-page hardcover is available right now through DriveThruRPG for $34.95, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $8.50. All right, all that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Adventurous. A few things to mention before we dive on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Dawnfist Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of Adventurous, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this book and learn about Adventurous for myself as well, because I have not cracked this open to take a peek at yet. Much of this is going to be as new to me as it is to you. All right, let's take a look at the back here. Adventurous is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game built from the ground up for players new to the hobby. Every rule and mechanic is designed to be intuitive and easy to grasp to help you get started in minutes, not hours. Are you feeling adventurous? I am, so let's jump on in. Hi, Jeff. Hope you like the book. That's kind of funny. All right, so we got our credits here. We also have some thanks to the various different play testers. Let's jump on in to take a peek, because I'm kind of curious what sort of mechanics Adventurous is going to use. So right off the bat, we're going to get an introduction and some basics of the game. So we're going to need 6-sided dice, character sheets, pencils, erasers, blank paper, and some snacks are always nice. It's not designed to be played with miniature figures and or a board battle map. So here we got the core mechanic. Whenever a player attempts a risky, challenging, or dangerous action, he rolls a number of 6-sided dice equal to the value of the relevant attribute. This is called an attribute test or just a test. 5s and 6s count as successes. All other numbers count as blanks. If the dice show 1, 5, or 6, it is a weak success. If it's got at least 2, it is a strong success. If the dice show no 5s or 6s, it's a failure. Right, I'm not seeing anything about critical hits or critical failures, anything like that. But we do have weak success and strong success. Let's see. When is a weak success enough and when is a strong success required? General rule for determining whether a weak or strong success is enough to succeed at a task is to reflect on the task and ask yourself the question, does this task require some sort of training? If the answer is yes, then a strong success is needed to succeed. For example, picking a lock or deciphering ancient runes. If no, a weak success is enough to succeed. For example, lifting a boulder or jumping across a broad chasm. I don't know, a weak success is needed to lift a boulder? I guess you'd have to be pretty strong. It says, what does W3S6 mean? W3S6 is short for weak 3, strong 6, and is the effect of a test. The numbers can mean the amount of damage a weapon does or the amount of targets an ability affects. On a weak success, the effect is 3. On a strong success, the effect is 6. Oh, so I'm going to take a guess that this comes into play combat. Most common combinations are W2S4, W3S6, W4S8, and W6S12. Well. Okay. Double sixes. Some abilities and magical items have special effects that occur on what's called double sixes. This is when the dice show at least 2 sixes when a test is made. Getting double sixes also grants the group 1 point of momentum. Lastly, double sixes also grant 1 experience point. A failed test always leads to something. There we go. So failing forward, essentially. We also have advantage and disadvantage. Advantage, you get an extra die, up to a total of 6d6. Disadvantage, you're going to remove a die, but never fewer than 1d6. Talking about momentum. And it looks like we've got a bit of an example here of play. So we've got our different races. Humans, dwarves, elves. So those are our races. So we have 3. So this seems to have a pretty old school vibe to it, even though the mechanics are certainly not a retro clone of original D&D or basic expert D&D. So we've got our classes. Does look like the artwork is AI enhanced, not necessarily AI generated. So we've got our warriors. What else we got? Rogues, wizards, paladins, hunters, clerics. Is that going to be it? No, we get a warlock and the druid. So we are getting a good number of classes to choose from. So far more variety than the races. So allocating your attribute points. During character creation, your character starts with a score of 1 in all attributes. You then spend an additional 5 points on your attributes. You can allocate these as you desire. So here are some examples. So it doesn't look like it's more expensive the higher you go. So if you wanted to have a dexterity, I would say like 3, it's going to cost you 2 points. So it looks as if our attributes are strength, dexterity, willpower, knowledge, and charisma. So this is all our character creation section here. Character advancement. Gaining experience points. Whenever a player character fails a test or rolls double sixes, it receives 1 experience point. In order to reach level 2, a character needs 3 experience points. Not a whole lot. 8 for level 3, 16 for level 4, 25 for level 5. Only call for tests in important situations. So that's something important that needs to be kept in mind. Game Master should only call for a test when there is something important at stake. So not just, am I able to unstick the door? Attacking and defending. Player makes an attribute test with the correct attribute. Strength for melee, dexterity for ranged weapons, and willpower for most magical abilities. So you've got 3 potential outcomes: strong success, weak success, and failure. I'm taking a guess we might have damage reduction with armor. So we're not looking at armor classes. So when a player gets attacked, the player makes an attribute test to defend. Which attribute is tested depends on the type of attack. Once again, strength, melee attacks, dexterity, range attacks, and will against most magical attacks. So if it's a strong success, you avoid all damage and effects. If the test is a weak success, you take damage equal to the weak damage of the opponent's attack. And if it's a failure, the player character takes damage equal to the strong damage of the opponent's attack and or is affected by the strong effect of the ability, or I would take a guess, spell. So it looks as if the NPCs, monsters, things like that may not make an attack roll. It might just be if they get attacked, player characters have to make an attribute test. So we are dealing damage. Yep. So we're going to subtract armor points from the damage value. However, an attack that hits always deals at least 1 point of damage, regardless of the victim's armor points would negate the entire attack or not. Maximum armor points a PC can have is 3, regardless of their combination of armor, shield, and magical effects. Massive damage. Yowza. Missile weapons in melee, throwing weapons, fighting styles. So mechanically, this strikes me as being relatively easy to just jump right on into. Of course, as the game master, you're going to have a lot more content to concern yourself with, like NPCs. And here we've got NPC reactions. We do have morale, very nice, like that. Health and injuries. So if you're reduced to 0 hit points, if you're reduced to 0, you become wounded and roll on the critical injuries table. The player character also loses all active effects, such as the warrior's rage ability or the druid's ability, Power of the Wild. Bleeding out. A PC that is bleeding out must roll 1d6 each turn. On a 5 or 6, the PC survives. 1 to 4. The player character takes a dirt nap. While being wounded, you have disadvantage on all tests. So here we've got rest and recovery. So we've got inventory slots for our encumbrance. A player character's carrying capacity is limited to 8 item slots represented on the front of the character sheet. That makes encumbrance pretty easy to deal with. So there's some discussion about carrying treasure. Looks like we're going to get into our gear here. Melee weapons, ranged weapons, armor and shields, other gear and supplies. Some discussion of supplies. Common services. I figure we'll end up hitting a bestiary somewhere in this book. So we've got magical items and potions. So these are magical items. Brewing potions and poisons. Looks like we've got a treasure table here. Social interactions and hirelings. Should have a list of spells unless I passed it by. Dungeons and the Wild. Much like combat, dungeon exploration is divided into turns. During each turn of exploration, the group of PCs can make one dungeon move together as one unit. A dungeon move is an action such as search a room for traps, carefully pick the lock of the big wooden door, or study the mechanical contraption to try to figure out how the trap works. Dungeon moves take roughly 10 minutes. So discussion of time and encounters. Light in dark places. You need 1 light source for every 2 people in the party. Party of 4 adventurers will need 2 torches to shed enough light in a dark place. So we get some modifiers for low light and no light. Here's our bestiary. Taking a guess, those are supposed to be orcs. Humans, elves, and dwarves. So we got thugs, thug poacher, guard captain. Keep in mind, I am skipping pages here. All right, so let's get a feel for what we're looking at with these stat blocks. So let's take the giant spider as an example. So it looks as if it has 12 hit points, armor of 2. Giant spiders lurk in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to surprise its prey. They live in small colonies of up to 2 to 4 individuals in abandoned caves, caverns, and ruins. Abilities and equipment, it's got a thick carapace, that's 2 armor points. Multi-attack makes 2 attacks each turn. And then you're going to roll to see what kind of attack it makes on a d6, obviously. Poison, spray, web, or bite. Ha. Kind of cool that we also see on these attacks. Let's use a Goblin Wolf Rider as an example. It's also going to tell you what the player characters use to test against to avoid the effects or damage from the attack. So here at Charge, we're looking at a dexterity test, Impale, a strength test, and a weapon attack. So it's going to be just the usual roll, melee attack. It's going to be strength, ranged attack, dexterity, so forth. Here we got Ogres. Wow, 20 hits. Zombies. Fantastical creatures like the Minotaur. This looks pretty interesting. Little lights on the bestiary art. So it looks like now we're going to get into the campaign setting, which is the Westlands. So we do get a map. Looks like we've got some tables here. I think it's to give you adventure ideas. Oh, rumors. Okay. Having a hard time improvising? Try the Oracle. When a situation arises where the players ask for information that you don't have, just roll one 6-sided die and let fate decide. And then we have a little Oracle table. How to build a great adventure in 5 steps. Hook, fork, obstacles, threats, resolution. I guess we get a little adventure idea there too. Designing good traps. Non-combat challenges. So it looks like this is sort of GM facing. Speaking of GMs, here's our game mastering advice. Remember physics. Monsters are not stupid. Agree on the tone and setting. Don't over prepare. Yeah, well, that's an obvious one once you get some experience as far as running games. Your players are always going to do things that you never expected. You don't want to sit there and absolutely plot everything out because, for one, that's going to lead you to kind of steer towards railroading the players. You don't want to do that. So here we've got our glossary, and we've got a GM cheat sheet, and here's our map of the Westlands. Nice. Very nice. We wrap up with an index? Nope. We wrap up with a thank you. All right. That is a peek inside Adventurous from Dawnfist Games. And of course, I will have a review of Adventurous in the very near future. Don't forget, this hardcover is available right now. It carries an MSRP of $34.95 over at DriveThruRPG, or you can also snag just the PDF alone for $8.50. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I share first looks, such as this one of Adventurous, it'll also inform you when I upload other videos, as well as share my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, which airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. And of course, when you're not watching videos here on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more, which you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Happy holidays, everyone. And until I see you next time, here's hoping all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.